And good evening, everyone, and welcome in to the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media. I'm your host, Russ Renault, and thanks for joining us again here after another UFC event. Got to take a week off with no UFC card last week, but we are back at it this week and had another fight card from the Apex. So not always the most exciting, but we do have something more exciting, coming up later on the show where we're going to do our UFC 306, our Noche UFC preview. So stick around for that, and we'll go through all of the fights that have been added to the schedule through the end of the year. So, we've got a couple of events that don't have the main event yet, but a lot of stuff starting to fill in. So we're almost through 2024 as far as the schedule goes. And so we'll take a look at that here in a few minutes. But let's just touch quickly on what went down tonight at the Apex. So a couple of, upsets as far as the number of the ranking goes, but not as far as the odds makers went. As let's start off with the main event first. So we had number 8 Sean Brady against number 6 Gilbert Burns in the welterweight division. So Sean Brady just looked awesome tonight, and really great to see. As we mentioned on the show before, Sean's dad James collects all of Sean's cards, a huge collector, and so that's one of the people that we love to see in this hobby. And as we've gone along this show and we've done cards here and there, that we look out for those Sean Brady cards and try to get something that's high, a low number, 1 of 1, 5 of whatever. Try to get those to James. So anyway, great win for Sean Brady over huge name Gilbert Burns, who was recently in the top 5. So that's a great thing going forward, because that puts Sean Brady right in line for a title shot. So that'd be awesome to see. And unanimous decision, and no doubt about it. What a great win for Sean Brady. So the other one we're going to touch on is the co-main event. So a women's flyweight matchup between number 8 Natalia Silva and Jessica Andrade, who's ranked number 6 also. So Silva gets a win here, unanimous decision as well. So a great win for Natalia Silva over a big name in the women's flyweight division, Jessica Andrade. It's just kind of how Jessica's career has gone, just kind of up and down. And it's like two steps forward, 1 step back with Andrade, and that's just the way it goes with her. So then we had a knockout on the main card with Steve Garcia with a vicious elbow to Kyle Nelson in the first round. So Steve Garcia coming in ranked in the top 10 in the featherweight division, and just coming away with a decisive win here. So Matt Schnell, ranked number 11 in the bantamweight division, had a last-minute replacement. He was supposed to face Alessandro Costa, ends up facing Cody Durden, and Cody Durden put it on him with a submission in the second round. So Matt Schnell falls again. Just one more to mention on the main card, Yamal Ashmouz defeating Trevor Peek in the lightweight division via unanimous decision. So that was it for the Apex. You can go through and see what happened the rest of the card, but those are the big ones. And so we wanted to come in, usually after the Apex cards, we kind of have a quick show. And when we're previewing a huge pay-per-view coming the next week, we want to get to that as quickly as possible. And next week, we totally plan on doing our live main event coverage. We're going to have the co-main and the main event. And so, because those are 2 title fights, and we want to do all the title fights. So you can catch us here as soon as Bruce Buffer announces Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. It will be on. We may have to take a little break in between those 2 fights, just depending on how that goes, because that's a lot of time to fill. Or we may just go ahead and do our wrap up of the other fights in between then. So that may be the better course of action. So make sure that you subscribe so that you know when we come on next week, because it's never a set time, because it's whenever the card ends, or in the case of a pay-per-view, it's when the main event begins. That's when we come on. And so if you want to know exactly when I'm on every week, just hit the subscribe button and you'll get the alert that we're live, and so you won't miss anything. So change some lighting in here. It looks really good, so I hope you enjoyed that on your end as well. Not as yellow in here anymore, so it's pretty awesome. So making upgrades where we can. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's change this around and go into next week. So here is the card for Noche UFC, better known as UFC 306. So your main event, of course, in the bantamweight division, the champion Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on the number one contender Merab Dvalishvili. And I mean, these two championship fights next week, the odds are so close on these fights. So I mean, O'Malley is the slightest of favorites over Dvalishvili. I mean, this is just tale of two styles, two opposite styles on display next week. And so we do make predictions on these pay-per-view cards. So just for fun, gambling purposes, that's your deal. This is for entertainment only, but we do keep track. So what I've said it before. What usually happens is whoever I want to win a fight always loses the main event. So that has been the case almost all year long. I think the most recent one that didn't happen that way was Bilal Muhammad over Leon Edwards. I'd pick Leon, but I didn't really have a whole lot into that fight. I didn't really care either way, so I don't say that I was cheering for anyone. So I don't know that one counts, but I do have an interest in both of these, and so I am going to count these. I would love to see Merab win the title, but I'm going to go with O'Malley as the pick here for that reason, that whoever I want to win is just not their day. So in the women's strawweight division, I feel a little bit better about this one though. But I mean, I want Valentina Shevchenko to win. I thought that she was ahead on the scorecards in the first fight until Grasso got that choke in. Not really a choke, just kind of a smash in her face with a forearm. But I thought Valentina won the rematch. So I think she's going to get done here. I think she's going to get the belt back, and we might have to see a fourth fight down the line. I don't want to see it right away. I want to see somebody else in the strawweight division get a chance. Manon Fiorot definitely has been sitting there and has did everything that she needs to do to get a title shot. So I'm going Valentina for the win here. So that does not bode well. Well, that's always been the main event, though. So I'm pretty good in the rest of the way down the card. So this is a co-main, so I feel confident in that one. Valentina to win the title back and then face Manon Fiorot, and then a fourth with Grasso later if she comes out of the Manon Fiorot matchup. So then, featherweight matchup. Really looking forward to this because we missed it in the summer when Ortega had to pull out. So number 3, Brian Ortega against number 12, Diego Lopez. Just a huge test for Lopez against a huge opponent. So just to see just where exactly he is, because he looks phenomenal, and really excited to see that one. I'll talk about it later down the line, but kind of a weird, if the schedule really is the way it was on the UFC's website, that it's kind of an odd placement, but let's talk about that last fight here in a minute. To finish out the main card, Daniel Zellhuber against Esteban Robovic in the lightweight division, and Ronaldo Rodriguez against Ode Osborne in the flyweight division. We've got a top 10 women's bantamweight matchup, and former title contender against Amanda Nunes, Irene Aldana. She's ranked number 5, taking on number 9, Norma Dumont. And the one I wanted to talk about is down. We've talked about all these fights before, so I'm just going to let you look at those. But down there at the bottom It says it's an early prelim. It's the only one listed, and it's Raul Rosas Jr., who you would think would be on the main card, against Ara Kaleng in the bantamweight division. So I don't know if that's a mistake on the placement or if that's for real, but I have no idea why that fight wouldn't be higher up on this card. So it's just kind of odd. So let's move on to the next one. So here's Fight Night on September 28th. So we're going to have a week off in between cards again. And so we'll be off on the 21st. Depending on the Baylor game on the 28th. Don't know if we'll be on the 28th or not. It just depends on how the schedule works out. I have planned on attending the Baylor game that day, so we'll see how it works out. If it's a night game, we may have to move that to Sunday. So Fight Night in Paris, and we've got number 10 Renato Moicano against number 12 Benoit Saint Denis in the lightweight division. William Gomez and Joe Anderson Brito featherweight matchups been added to this card, as has Kevin Giuseppe versus Brian Battle. In the welterweight division, middleweight matchup between number 4 Nasruddin Imavov and number 7 Brendan Allen. And featherweight matchup Morgan Charrer against AJ Cunningham. You see one more ranked fight down there on the prelims. Women's bantamweight matchup between number 14 Jermaine Durandamy. It's been out for a very long time against Nora Cornell. Let's move on to UFC 307 October 5th. I don't know that you can be more excited for a card than this one, because you've got ranked fighters against ranked fighters all the way down. So you've got 8 fights of ranked fighters, and this is a phenomenal card. A little bit probably mismatched at the top with the light heavyweight title on the line between Alex Pereira and number 8 Khalil Roundtree Jr. So don't know that Roundtree necessarily deserves this right here, but I mean, Pereira just wants to fight, and so put somebody out there and we'll watch it. So it doesn't matter. But this women's bantamweight matchup, I do love this right here. And Raquel Pennington finally taking on Juliana Pena for the title. Pena, the former champion, losing it to Nunes. Nunes retires. Pennington winning the title against Mayra Bueno Silva. So this is really, the championship right here that we've been looking forward to for about 2 years now. So then welterweight matchup, number 9 Stephen Thompson, number 11 Joaquin Buckley, and bantamweight matchup, number 9 Jose Aldo against number 12 Mario Bautista. And a middleweight matchup, number 10, Roman Dolidze against number 15, Kevin Holland. And you get to, this is unofficial right now, but you get to the prelims, and you've got a featherweight matchup between Movsar Evloev and number 8, Aljamain Sterling. So you've got a top 10 matchup there. Women's bantamweight matchup, number 2 against number 3, Ketlin Vieira against Kayla Harrison. So you've got this little tournament up here in the bantamweight division. You got 1, 2, 3, and 4 all on this card. Then women's strawweight division, number 6 Marina Rodriguez and number 14 Yasmin Lucendo. Also added this week, middleweight matchup between Cesar Almeida and Ihor Poteria. And women's strawweight matchup, this is going to be Carla Esparza's last fight, and she will be taking on Ticia Pennington. And so this may be the first time that we've had spouses on the same card. Raquel Pennington and Ticia Pennington fighting on the same card. So one starting it off, one in the co-main. And that's an interesting aspect to this UFC 307 card, October 5th in Salt Lake City. So moving on to October 12th, when the UFC goes back to the Apex. This one announced this week. Flyweight matchup between the former champion and the number 1. Excuse me, he's not the former champion. I'm getting ahead of myself. That one's coming in a minute. Flyweight matchup, number 1 contender Brandon Royval against number 5 Tatsuro Taira. You can see the rest of the card there. We're not going to get too far into that one. I do like Grant Dawson, Rafa Garcia. That one does stick out. Chidi Njokwani's on this one. Themba Garimbo. So some names on there, but just not really great matchups on that card on October 12th. Then we go to the Apex on October 19th as well. So you've got main event between number 13 Anthony Hernandez, number 14 Michel Pereira in the middleweight division. Another ranked fighter on the card, the flyweight division, number 7 Mateus Nicolau against Asu Almabayev. And a bantamweight matchup, I expect this one to move up. Number 9 Rob Font against number 12 Kyler Phillips. Like I said, these are unofficial listings. It's just where probably as they were signed to the UFC, and nobody's really assigned a spot yet until a couple weeks out. So then we go to October 26th, UFC 308 from Abu Dhabi. So I've got to work around my niece's wedding on this date here. A lot going on that day. Featherweight matchup. This is huge. So it's kind of upsetting, but this is so big. Ilia Topuria against the former champion, number 2 contender Max Holloway. The featherweight division, featherweight title on the line. Can't wait to see that one. Hope everything's put to bed by the time that fight starts. Heavyweight matchup, number 2 Cyril Gane against number 3 Alexander Volkov. Middleweight matchup, number 3 Robert Whittaker against number 11 Hamzat Chimaev. Light heavyweight matchup, number 2 Magomed Ankalaev against number 5 Alexander Rakic. Featherweight matchup, number 11 Laron Murphy against number 14 Dan Ige. And welterweight matchup in the top 15 as well, Jeff Neal against Rafael dos Anjos. Also another ranked fighter, heavyweight division, number 14 Marcos Rogério de Lima taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. So that one looks pretty solid right now. That was probably an afternoon one, so it's gonna be tricky. So this is one I was talking about. Here's your former flyweight champion, the other Brandon. Brandon Moreno taking on the number 3 contender Amir Albazi. This is Fight Night, November 2nd in Edmonton, Alberta. I think October 19th is the last Apex card for a while. The Apex is going to be renovated and a little more stadium-like to expand the seating in there, make it a little more of an arena. So I think we're not going to see the Apex. It's going to be like 6 months. So it'll be out of commission. We won't see any Apex cards until 2025. So you've got Moreno Albazi knocking down what was the main event, a women's flyweight matchup between number 3 Erin Blanchfield and number 5 Rose Namajunas. Really looking forward to that one. I think that one's going to be a phenomenal matchup. And heavyweight matchup, this was Derek Lewis against Alexander Romanov, but now each of them have different opponents on the same card. Derek Lewis is now facing Janata Deniz. And there you see Alexander Romanov taking on number 15 Rodrigo Nascimento. Also on this card, fight to like Mike Malott, Trevin Giles. You see Mike Malott bounce back. I think he still has a lot of potential. I mean, when somebody loses their first fight, people just jump off saying this person will never be a champion. You can't do that. Everybody has a loss. Sean O'Malley has a loss to Chito Vera, and a legitimate loss. Tom Aspinall has a loss. That one was less legitimate, the injury, but Mike Malott still has a ton of talent and can come back and do something special in the welterweight division. So we'll see how he gets back on track here. Marc-Andre Barriault, Dustin Stolfus is kind of a sneaky good middleweight matchup there. Then you see a women's flyweight top 15 matchup between number 13 Ariane Da Silva and number 14 Jasmine Jasudavicius. Moving on to November 9th. A couple of fights added this week. Not a main event yet. That does say the Apex on this one too, so that must be the last one. It's November 9th. Mansur Abdul Malik against Tusko Todorovic, middleweight division in the top 15 women's strawweight matchup between number 12 Luana Pinheiro and number 13 Jillian Robertson. Don't have anything yet here at Madison Square Garden for UFC 309, November 16th, but obviously we know that is John Jones against Stipe Miocic. And who knows what else we have going on in this one. See a whole lot of things shake down at this one, but we do know that main event is 99% Jones Miocic on paper, and Aspinall will be the backup fighter at Madison Square Garden either way. So then we got another fight night from China, November 23rd. So we don't know anything about that card yet, obviously. Then we've got UFC 310, December 7th from T-Mobile Arena, the last pay-per-view of the year. And then we finish it off with a fight night from Tampa on December 14th. So not anything scheduled there yet. So that takes us through the end of the year. So the UFC will take a break after that and then come back in 2025. And so we'll keep you updated every week when we get some new fights on the schedule. So that will do it for the show this week. Just wanted to come in here real quick and recap Fight Night for tonight and preview Noche UFC for next weekend. As I said, we're going to come in here and we're going to be live for the co-main and the main event. So jump on if you are unable to watch the pay-per-view or buy it, that you come on here and I'll be giving a play-by-play. I can't show any images. I can't let you hear any sound, obviously, due to copyright restrictions by the UFC and ESPN, but I can give a play-by-play, and I will. I'll be watching it here. You can just crack one open. We'll talk about it. So if you want to jump in on the chat with me next week, then that'd be great. And appreciate Brock coming in and listening in tonight. We'll have more next week, a lot more next week. So usually it's done pretty well. When we've done a live pay-per-view, that people have come in, and we hope that grows and grows, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to do to talk about the fight as it happens. It's going well, Brock. It's a great Saturday. Astros won today. Got to go and watch that, so that was a lot of fun. My Baylor Bears did not do so well today, but it's better than being a Notre Dame fan, I guess. So a lot of crazy things in college football today. NFL starting tomorrow. Can't wait for that with the Texans this year. See how that goes. But this is a pretty exciting weekend, and can't wait for next weekend because it's going to be awesome. Awesome card next weekend, and we cannot wait. So we will be right here on the UFC Fight Cards podcast presented by Orange Fire Media right here on YouTube next weekend live for the co-main and main events. I'm Russ Renault. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you next week for live main event coverage between Sean O'Malley and Rob Dvalishvili, as well as Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.